Video and audio track settings probably seems like one of the most boring topics to make a video about, but some of the settings we're going to cover in this tutorial could potentially save you a tremendous amount of time once you realize the functionality that they provide. So let's just go ahead and jump right into taking a look at some of these features and settings. I'm going to come to the media pool and click once to select one of the clips here and just press F9 to create a timeline and add that down below. Let's also click on the full extent zoom. Now we can expand these tracks out vertically by coming to the edge of the track headers here for both our video and audio. And then we can also change the color for our tracks and clips by right-clicking on the track header. Let's come down to the bottom. We have changed track color. I'm just going to select orange for our video. And then for our audio, we can right-click as well, change track color. And for this, I'm going to change to navy. So that's how we can go about changing our track and clip colors. We next have our destination control and track number here for both our video and audio. And for this, let's actually bring in an additional clip. I'll come up to our media pool, just click, hold, and drag that into our timeline. And you'll notice that this has video 2, and then here we have audio 2 for this additional clip that we brought in. And notice that we also have this orange frame that's on video 1 and audio 1. And this denotes which tracks our edits will be performed on. So if I come to the media pool here and grab a third clip, I'm going to drag that to our timeline viewer, and I'm going to choose append to end and then release that. And we can see that that's been added to our video and audio one. And that's because the destination control is highlighted in orange here. Let's Control Z to undo that. And then here I'm going to switch the destination control by clicking once to our top video track. Let's go ahead and perform that append to the end again. I'll release. And then now we can see that the video has been added to the video 2 track at the top instead of the video 1. Our audio has been added to audio 1 because our destination control is still highlighted here. Let's undo one more time. And then I'm going to select the destination control for audio 2. Let's bring that third clip in again, append to end, and then now we can see that the video and audio are now being routed to the second video and audio tracks because the destination control is active for these. Let's go ahead and switch these back to the original video and audio tracks though. And we'll move on to take a look at the track name that's next in line. So this is pretty simple. We can just click once on this and type in whatever we'd like. I'm just typing from the clip name here, Banh Mi, and at the bottom we can type in whatever we'd like to represent what the clip is containing. We then have a lock track control. So if I were to click on this for our video track, our video 1 track, we can see that this becomes grayed out, and then I can no longer perform any trimming or moving of this track. If I try to move the video track, then we move the audio and it's unlinked from the video. And so this could be a useful tool if you like to make adjustments or trims to your audio separately from the video. Then you can lock the video track and then make your adjustment accordingly. And again, click, hold, and dragging on the audio, we can move this wherever we'd like. And also notice that if we come to the inspector in the top right-hand corner here and go ahead and open that up, we can see our video. Let's click on that. The parameters are not available for editing when we have the track locked here. So that's something else. If I go ahead and unlock that, we can see that the parameters become available. Let's close out the inspector and we return to the same functionality where we can move both of these linked clips as one unit. And this lock function is available for our audio as well. So once I lock that, I can then trim and make edits to the video track independently, click, hold, and drag. We'll go ahead and unlock that audio. And now we've got our auto select button. And this button or setting is on by default, and in this default setting, if I were to perform an operation that relies on the playhead position, like making a cut, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to press S to, actually I'm going to deselect this clip here to be sure that we don't have any clips selected while our playhead is positioned here. I'm going to press S. I've added S as a shortcut because I prefer that over the default of Alt and B. So I'm going to press S to make a cut, and we can see that that cut has been made across all of the clips that intersected our playhead. Now if we go ahead and undo that cut and I select a specific clip here and then make the same cut again, we can see that it's only going to affect the clip that we have selected here. We'll again undo with Control Z, and let's be sure that these clips are deselected. And if I have an instance where I'd like to perform a lot of cuts or other editing operations that are based on the playhead position and I don't want a particular track to be affected, I can click on the auto track selector, then that's going to be a dark gray. And now none of our clips within the timeline are selected. And if I position the playhead and then go ahead and make a cut here, we can see that this track is not affected. So again, if you'd like to perform a lot of different operations or edits and you don't want a particular track or tracks to be affected, you can just go ahead and click and disengage the auto track selector. Again, positioning our playhead, I'll make a cut and we can see that this track is not being affected. Let's undo. Now the auto select button will also determine which tracks will be affected by operations within our in and out point range. So if I position the playhead cursor here and press I on the QWERTY keyboard, let's move forward a bit and we'll press O to set our out point. And our auto select is disengaged on our video 1 track. I'm going to press Control and X, and then we can see that that's been cut. I'll position our playhead at the very end in Control V. Now we've pasted that cut, but we can see that this video 1 track was not affected by that action, which was contained within our, where we had our in and out points set, because the auto track selector is disengaged. So no, you can make it use of this feature within any operations that you're going to perform within your in and out points. And we'll again undo all of this. Another important thing to keep in mind is that ripple editing is going to be turned off for any tracks that have the auto selector disengaged. Next in line we have disable, and when this is engaged, it's going to disable all of the video clips on our video track. We can see that this is grayed out here. We only have 1 clip. Let's actually bring this second clip down to this first track, and we can see that that's immediately grayed out because the track is disabled. And when the track, or when a track is disabled, we cannot see the clips in our timeline viewer, and they're grayed out in our timeline. But something that makes this a bit different when we versus when we lock a track, as we've seen earlier, is that we can still, even though these are disabled, we can come to our inspector and we can make adjustments to the parameters here. We can also move and make trims and perform other editing actions on a video clip or track that's been disabled. So again, this is a bit different than when we lock the track, and then we can no longer move these video clips. And when we come to the inspector, we're not able to adjust any of the parameters. Let's go ahead and unlock that. And while this is still disabled, just know that these disabled video clips also won't show on the color page, and they won't be available for rendering on the deliver page. Let's go ahead and re-enable the track, and then we can see down at the bottom we have some text here that's going to let us know just how many clips are combined on or contained within this track. And this applies to our audio tracks as well. We can see we have 2 clips here, and if we come to the edge of our second track, expand that out, we can see we have 1 clip there. Now of course, with this very simple timeline, we can just look visually and see really quickly, but when you are working with tracks that contain a large number of clips, this is going to give you a quick readout of how many are contained on those particular tracks. And moving on to our audio tracks, we can see that we have our familiar lock and auto select controls that we've already taken a look at up above with our video tracks. We also have solo and mute, which is going to only allow this audio to play back when we have it soloed, and mute is going to disable this audio from playing back. It's kind of similar to disabling our video track that we saw a moment ago. In the top right corner, we can see what type of track we're working with, and 2.0 simply means a stereo track, stereo left and right channels. If we were to right click, then we can actually change the track type by coming to the field here, and we can choose mono, 5.1, 7.1, etc. If I change this to 5.1, then we can see that that updates here. Although we can't see the additional channels within the edit page, if we were to come to the Fairlight, then we can go ahead and expand this out, and we can see those additional channels here, which are empty because we're working with a stereo track. But let's come back to our edit page, and we will right click and change this back to stereo. Now also within our track header contextual menu, we can add tracks or add a single track. We can add multiple tracks. And you have a contextual menu or a pop-up menu where you can choose the number of tracks, the insert position, the number of audio tracks, their position, and the track type. But we'll go ahead and cancel out of there. Let's right click again. We see that we can add a subtitle track. We can move our tracks up or down, delete the track, delete any empty tracks that we have within the timeline. We've already seen the change track type to and the track color, and then at the very bottom we have convert to linked group. And finally, to wrap up, if we are working with a project or timeline that contains a large number of tracks, we can come to the index panel in the top left hand corner here. Let's click once on that, and then we'll come to the tracks tab. And we can see here that we have our disable, auto select, and lock controls. So again, if you're working with a large number of tracks within your project or timeline, then we can make use of these controls within the index panel to make quick adjustments to any of the tracks that we'd like, solo and mute for our audio. And we can see that that's been applied down below. If we scroll over a bit, then we can see we have some additional controls here.